Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by SoundCloud Studios. Visit online at soundcloudstudios.com for all your needs, and sponsored by our international wedding offer, Me Emotions You Have Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Make sure you get it today. We're here with a terrific lady who's a certified board physical therapist, pediatric clinical specialist, a neurodevelopment treatment, and Schloff scoliosis therapist from New York City. Spent 10 years working with patients in various and premier hospitals in New York City, putting patients first, which is important. She is also founder of a company that provides on-site and telephysical therapy-based wellness service at the workstations, which you see right here, to improve employee posture and also improve the biomechanics, and also keep most products as well too intact, and designed to reduce stress, healthcare, and absenteeism. That's been a big thing in the workplace. We'll talk about that, how it affects it. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown New York City, the founder of ProPostureUS and board certified physical therapist, pediatric clinical specialist, and neurodevelopment treatment scoliosis treatment therapist from New York. Ladies and gentlemen, Efrat Cohen. Efrat, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as your guest today.
Well, it's great to have you on as well, too. And of course, this is a very hot topic for those who are working from home, going back to the office and everything else with healthcare and everything that's going on with good posture. You're a board certified physical therapist, pediatric clinical specialist, and neurodevelopment treatment, and Schloff, the scoliosis therapist from New York City. You spend 10 years working with patients in various and premier hospitals in New York City, putting patients first. And also you're a founder of ProPostureUS or US, providing on-site and physical therapy-based wellness service at the workstations to improve employee posture, biomechanics, and also keep very productive as well. And it's also designed to reduce stress, healthcare costs, and also reduce absenteeism. Before we talk about that, Efrat, tell us how I first got started.
So yes, as you mentioned, I'm a physical therapist here in New York City. I've worked for NYU Langone Hospital for Special Surgery. I've worked with all ages, most diagnoses. And when I was working with those from the corporate world, I realized they did really well in the PT gym. But when they went back to their workstation, their symptoms came back. And I'm not one to have people coming through the revolving door for the same problem. So I thought of the box and I created for them a workstation program, and it worked well. And I realized that there is a need at the workstation to help employees perform and do the work that they do. So we're all familiar with athletes and we're all familiar with dancers. And for athletes, we care about the shoes that they wear, the equipment that they use. And for dancers, we care about the shoes that they wear and the stages that they perform. Well, for employees, where they perform is at their workstation. So whether at a sitting desk or at a standing desk, or at a creative workspace or traditional workspace, it's how they do what they do that determine how that they are going to perform.
And of course, you talked about the shoes as well, too. Maybe talk about the type of shoes and the specialized shoes, like with for basketball players and for dancers, and for those working the stations. Maybe you can describe what are some of the the minimum requirements. Of course, why are shoes each different for each profession? This is something people should really be wary about.
Yes. Well, depending on what you do, you're going to have a different type of quote unquote uniform. But it's really important that, of course, you have a supportive shoe that works for you. Of course, many people who are working from home probably aren't wearing their shoes at all. So what we got to look at more is how they're using their whole body at their workstation. Most importantly is where your feet are, not necessarily what on your feet, but also where your feet are. And so for most people at their workstation, they're not sure where their feet are. Most of the time they're up on their toes. It could be that they're crossing their legs. It could be that they're sitting on one of their legs, or their legs are outstretched in front of them. And that sort of triggers yourself to already automatically start off in poor posture. So what happens to all of us when we're at our workstation? We don't think about our posture. So we start our day in poor posture. We fatigue quicker. We develop discomfort, pain. Then we're absent going to the doctor's appointments. Then we're disengaged and we don't want to do what we're doing. And so for employers out there who are thinking about how can we retain our talent and concerned about the great resignation, the great resign, well, I'm concerned about the great recline, because it's all wrapped up in one. If we don't think about how we do what we do in terms of our physical performance, it will affect our emotional and psychological performance at work. So the beauty of this is when we stress out, we unfortunately go into what's called stress postures. And so we all know what that feels like. It could be that our elbows are digging into the desk or the armrests. Our feet are kind of twisted in the bottom of our chair, or like I mentioned before, up on our toes. And the more stressed we are, the more we kind of crank down into ourselves and tension happens. And then the way that we can get out of it is actually become more aware of how we use our body and certain strategies that we can get out of those positions so that we can be productive with the rest of our workday.
Hmm. And he also talked about the fact that the elbows, the most common one, you just sit on your elbow and everything else. They get on the chair, they get kind of like a tennis elbow as well too. That's been the most common, which I'm a victim of. And how can you prevent that tennis elbow, like where it's like you find places and Posh, that how would you prevent tennis elbow, especially when you're in workstation?
So symptoms in your elbows or anywhere else on your body has a lot to do with how you use your body. So instead of leaning into your sitting desk or your standing desk or your chair with the armrest, you actually want to move yourself away from it. Your arms aren't there to prop yourself up. You actually want to use the rest of your body to sit up or stand up tall. So it's not necessarily like a one short answer. For everybody, it's going to be different. But for most of us, our issue is that we lean into the surfaces as we're working. So that's why people sort of look more and more, head keeps going forward and more forward and more forward when you work.
Mm, I,
And
I,
again, you want to keep yourself away,
mm.
away from the desk, not into the desk and into the computer.
I'm a victim of that too, where I try to look and see where I'm trying to look and everything else. And then if all possible, it's like, some people try to move their laptops up, but then there's places where it's like you can't move your computer, your desktop and everything at all. It's like, how would you address that issue in that part? Like say you're right here and then your desk is over here, but for some reason it's like you try to prevent going forward. It's like it seems like you can't, that's
Mhm.
thing. So, like, what are some of the things you recommend?
Sure. Well, there's some very affordable items in your home. So you have empty Amazon boxes, tissue boxes, paper towels, all sorts of things that we've been stockpiling in the past few years. You could take some of those items down and then place it on your table. And then you can figure out if you want to create for yourselves a sitting desk or a standing desk. And this way, when you are in a video call like we are doing right now, you could actually be eye level with the camera. And then if you do need the keyboard, then you can get yourself an extra keyboard. So this way you can play around with camera, monitors, and keyboard. So there are options. You may have to get a few other items, but there are always a way that you can kind of work around that you actually can promote a better posture in sitting and standing with a little bit maybe purchases of extra pieces of equipment to enhance your workstation.
Mm. And also the ergonomical chairs have been the big thing as well too. It's just like, what's a good ergonomical chair preventing to getting a cheap one like at like said at Target, Walmart or anything. It's like, it's cheap but falls apart. And you also get a good one like, $200 and all that. What's a good ergonomical chair and recommendations, requires and everything else?
It's an excellent question. I think that's always like the hot topic. What chair, what desk, what piece of equipment can I get? What brace can I get? It's all these external items. And actually, the most important is actually working on ourselves. It's what happens with ourselves at the workstation that affects the ergonomics. So, what happens? It doesn't matter whether you have, for some people, they may spend thousands of dollars or less. It's actually the chair that fits you. And it's always good to read the reviews and see how things have helped people because you may be able to identify with that person. And the nice thing is that there's always a return policy to try what's good for you. There's not one universal chair. What is universal is that we are humans and we work at the workstation and we don't think about how we use the workstation. That is universal. And so it's taking the time to see actually how we do use a workstation and what are the reasons that we choose to perform in a certain way, it'll probably be much more beneficial than keep buying another chair, another desk, and another piece of equipment. And
Hmm.
that's kind of how the program came about. You could see people who are trying to get all these pieces of equipment without realizing that us, is the most important piece of equipment that we have to work with to see how we use our bodies and how we can prevent the injuries that you've mentioned before, whether it's your elbow, whether it's happening in your low back, whether it's happening in your neck, your shoulders, your elbows, your knees, your feet. It's happening everywhere. And the more that we spend time at our workstation and more we stress out at our workstation, then these symptoms will occur.
Mhm. And that's a really good point to talk about. We'll talk about those areas in the body that affect along with ProPostureUS. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-wearing author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even level endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes, Riley, and Mills. So grab your copy today for It Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, or 40 podcast platforms heard in 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, BitChute, Rumble, and also heard on HamiltonRadio.net every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and a few networks coming soon. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you do so today. We're here with the founder of ProPostureUS, or US, Efrat Cohen, here on the Mike Wagner Show. And we talked about some of the extremities we're seeing in the office, like, pain in the head, the neck, the shoulders, and back, elbows, and everything else. And before getting to all that with the specifics, you found ProPostureUS, and tell us more about that and what inspired you to start the company.
So what brought me to bring this company together had to do more with overall what was happening at the workstation. So I had a few patients that were from the corporate world, and I realized that they did well in the PT gym. They went back to work and their symptoms came back. And so something was actually happening where they're working at their workstation. And so the whole idea came about basically to problem solve. They're not the only ones who are having a problem, so are their coworkers. And not everyone necessarily is experiencing pain initially, but like I said, it starts off as fatigue, then becomes some sort of discomfort, then the pain, and then they're off to the doctor's appointment. So why not prevent that cycle? Why not prevent that cycle that causes that fatigue, which then causes a disengagement with your employees? It doesn't keep them productive. They're probably wasting time, and we want to make sure that they use their time well and in a healthy way, and give them strategies so that they can be most productive at their workstation where they are performing. And so that's how the program came about. And it's helped many, many individuals who are working, whether they're working in their home or whether they're working in the office, the hybrid office model. It works well and engages all employees because the program can be done in person, and it can be done as a telehealth or virtual programming through Zoom or any other type of medium through video performance.
And you also have some recommendations too. It's just like, what you can do, like with the head, the neck, the arms, the shoulders, and a few simple exercises will pretty much, take care of the pain, also prevent the pain. Maybe some of the exercises that you do recommend.
And yeah, so it has to do with where an individual is working, whether that is sitting desk or a standing desk, to recognize first the assessment or self-assessment. What am I doing at my workstation? And why am I doing this at my workstation? So it actually necessitates having knowledge about posture health. What systems in the bodies are affecting my posture? Do I have any issues with vision? Do I have any issues with hearing? Do I have any issues with any dental issues? Do I have any issues with my balance? Do I have any issues with my nutrition? Taking that sort of self-awareness and sort of going through each of those systems in the body helps me understand, or helps an individual understand, why I may be assuming a certain posture. Number two, if I'm under stress, we know that the body goes into stress postures. What are ways that we can prevent these types of expressions when we have stress. We can't remove stress, but we definitely can give tools and strategies to help alleviate the symptoms that come with stress and to sort of get yourself out of a stressful mode through changing the way that you use your body or how your body goes into certain positions with stress, getting yourself out of those positions to redirect you to do your work and be much more productive at your workstation. So having this in mind helps employees because actually something constructive in terms of wellness that they could take with them wherever they're working.
Okay. All right. And that makes perfect sense as well, too. And do you think these injuries, these pains when it comes to working, do you think that's been on the increase as of late compared to like say 10, 20, even 30, even 40 years ago? And people work their desk, even for a long time before, wood desks, big telephones, and having a coffee pot and everything. Is like, do you think it's been on the increase and everything like that? It changed like 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Absolutely. So as we advance in technology, we also advance in the size of technology. Not only are we at our workstation with PCs, we have laptops, we have tablets, we have cell phones, and we have watches, and people are on there attached 24/7. They're working, even though they may not have work hours, but they're so attached to their technology and oblivious on how they actually use the technology. And it starts at a very young age. Kids are born with technology in their hands. So symptoms that occurred with individuals, and probably when they hit the ages of 30s or 40s, are now starting at a much younger age because of the use of technology and being unaware of how we use the technology in terms of being cognizant of how we use our bodies in technology. So it's an excellent question. Are we sitting or stationary longer? Probably. It could be, many of the processes that existed 40 years ago, we're paperless. So before, when you were in an office, you got up, probably you went to photocopy, you had to probably drop something off. There was a lot more motion. Now everything can be done at your workstation, even ordering food, you name it, everything can be delivered to you and everything can be done seamlessly without paper. So you're definitely more stationary than you were in the past. So of course, we shouldn't be stationary. That's a whole discussion in itself. You must be able to move around, not either sit and stand in one position for a long period of time. What happens to individuals is that when they aren't in a correct or more neutral posture and they're in a poor posture for a longer period of time, that's when their symptoms kick in. They're stationary in poor posture, and then hits that cycle that we just mentioned before.
And what are some of the exercises that you recommend while you're at your workstation? Even if you're like, stationary, you have to reach over here to order food, reach here to answer your phone, go to your tablet and all that. What are some of the exercises that you can do, while you're stationary for quite some time? If you're glued to it, like say 8, 10 hours a day, you really can't get up. What are some of the exercises that you recommend?
So number one, you should be walking around. Besides going to the restroom, getting a cup of coffee, you should be moving around at least once an hour. You should be able to get up, move, either walk to another, if you're at home, walk to another room. And if you are in the office, just get up and stretch and walk around your desk, what have you. But you should not be sitting or standing in the same place for a long period of time. Is there a specific exercise overall that helps people while they're sitting? For most people, they need to focus at their task at hand. One of the other popular questions, aside from an ergonomic chair, is should I get the ball? Should I be on a treadmill and do my work? Well, if you have motion sickness, I would not recommend you sitting on something with motion. So very important to focus on your work besides bringing your gym to your workstation to your gym. It's important to exercise and find ways to help yourself. And at the same time, you also have to be productive at work. So is there any generalized exercise to do at your desk? You probably is going to be individual for different people. You don't want to be stuck in the same position. We're all different types of sitters. Some of us sit at the edge of our chair ready to pounce the computer. Some of us like to lounge back, wait for things to happen. It all depends on you. And that's what's important about this program, is to identify how you fit into the picture. What's going on with you? What's going on with your work, the type of industry that you're in, how this affects you and your industry.
And also the shoes are the most important thing, getting back to that and, having like special shoes for basketball, dancing, and everything like that. How about a type of shoe that's for the remote worker and work at home and everything? You see all these shoes out there. So like, what is the most recommended, especially if you're like, you're on your feet, especially on a really hard concrete floor at most workplaces. Some have tiles, some have wood and everything. And right now, as we're speaking, I'm on concrete at this point.
Hmm. Excellent question. So what particular shoe? I think you always have to be aware of having enough room for your toes. Many times people buy trendy shoes and there's not enough room for your toes. So you always want to make sure, A, there's room for your toes. Depending on your foot, many people do need some sort of arch support. So you want that your foot is supported with an arch, especially if you do need an arch. You also want to see the thickness of the heel. If is it rubber, is it softer? Is it harder? You do not want to be standing on something that doesn't give you any cushion, support, or shock absorption. If you're going to be sitting or more importantly, if you're going to be standing for a while. So those are like kind of generalized. For people who do have issues with comfort, it's great to go to a special shoe store and one that can fit you with the best shoe, especially if you're standing and your feet are very uncomfortable. But most people, when they start off young with shoes, they don't realize what they're doing to their feet until they're a little bit older. And then all of a sudden they have a lot of issues with their feet. So you want to look stylish. That's great. Think about it having as a sitting shoe. But if you're going to be standing, you may have to switch your shoes. And it's okay if you're in the office to have a few pairs of shoes. If you need to be more formal, bring those shoes with you. If you're at your desk, feel free to change it. I would say more while you're sitting. You can sit. You do not have to necessarily have shoes on while you're sitting. So if you're at home working and you feel more comfortable without your shoes, it's fine. If you're going to be standing for a while, again, you want to consider what's on your feet. Make sure they have shock absorption. And again, you don't want to be in any particular position for a long period of time.
And what are some of the tips and suggestions you can offer, especially for the remote workers or those going back to the office?
Hmm. I think it's important to, like I said, start off with our step one. We want to see how we use our workstations, what we're like, being more cognizant of it, and then figure out, which part of the day you're getting tired. It probably has a lot to do with how you use your body at your workstation. And number two, figure out ways that it keeps you more productive at the workstation, getting yourself moving, and then encouraging yourself to figure out ways to improve your wellness. Because again, you're going to be at the office, you're going to be working at home. You want to make sure that you still keep on top of your wellness.
And how do people get a hold of you and where can you get more information about your company?
Absolutely. You can look at my website at www.ProPostureUS, because everyone's posture is ProPostureUS.com.
ProPostureUS. Okay.
Yes.
Got that. Okay. I think the capital U got me thrown off, but we know that right now. We're with founder of ProPostureUS Efrat Cohen here on the Mike Wagner Show. What's coming up for Efrat and her company? We'll find out just 1 minute. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the founder of ProPostureUS Efrat Cohen after this time out. We're back with founder of ProPostureUS Efrat Cohen here on the Mike Wagner Show. A lot of great tips for those working at home, working remotely, going back to the office, and everything else. And for those who've been in constant pain, and she gives some really good tips. And what else can we expect from you and your company in 2022, 23, and beyond?
No, absolutely. I look forward to working with all types of industries and work cultures, especially cultures that have not yet had wellness in their work environment, helping them with that journey, giving them and their employees a meaningful wellness program, especially now with our hybrid office model. This program is great because you can work with your employees who are in the office and those who are working remotely. And as an incentive to return their employees to the office, give them a wellness program that's meaningful for them, that they actually could use wherever they're working, because looking forward, they're going to be traveling, they're going to return to conferences. This goes with them wherever they go. The more they learn about themselves, they get to take that information with them. And that's the best thing, is to empower people with the right tools. So looking forward for 22 and 23, working with various industries and companies who are looking to retain their talent, and cutting edge. I really do appreciate working with those individuals who think ahead and prevent. Prevention is so important. It's not quite in our culture, prevention. We always wait for the problem to happen first.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to being lead that parade for prevention.
That's right. And we are certainly keeping that in mind, getting ready for it. And who do you consider biggest influence in career?
Biggest influence? It's
Yes.
always been my patients and my clients. They've always inspired me, always keep me on my toes, motivated me to keep learning the latest, the best, the newest, keeping up with the research, because at the end of the day, that's who I'm devoted to and who I care about. And if it helps them, it's going to help other people.
Okay, that's certainly amazing. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Be adventurous. Always look ahead and always think out of the box. I think sometimes we get into a rut and we think that we know the problem, the sort of what is causing a problem. And sometimes it's something else. It's always good to have like a reflection, a self-reflection. And if you can't see it for yourself, have someone else help you see it.
And that's very important as well, too. We're here with the founder of ProPostureUS Efrat Cohen of New York City here on the Mike Wagner Show. Efrat, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot from you. I'm getting comfortable, right? Looking forward to having you soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. And once again, tell us your website. How do people contact you? Where can people get information about your company or make an appointment with you?
Sure, absolutely. Website is www.ProPostureUS.com. You can email me at efrat@proposturus.com. And that's how we can have our discussion and figure out what will be work best for you and for your company.
We will certainly do that. Once again, Efrat, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot. Looking forward to having you soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. We wish you all the best. And you guys definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thank you.